Introducing The Secret to Victory, a new branded podcast from Gatorade and Gimlet Creative about how the best athletes in the world use defeat to fuel a win.
I'm not supposed to lose, ever.
We lost 13 in my rookie season. It was definitely a humbling year.
I'm host Dominique Foxworth. On The Secret to Victory, we'll hear from Serena Williams, Matt Ryan, Peyton Manning, and more. Visit Gatorade.com/podcast to listen now or subscribe wherever you listen.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airways of ESPN Radio. That's 98.7 FM New York City. That's 710 ESPN LA. And, of course, nationwide over the airways of ESPN Radio. Sirius XM style, Channel 80. Number to call up, as always, is 866-729-3776. That's 866-729-ESPN. Jammed-packed show coming your way today. Lots of stuff to get into. Got to get into some stuff I saw in the LA Times today about the Chargers as opposed to the Rams. I'm very, very interested in talking about that. So definitely we'll get into that. Some quarterback issues going on in New York City pertaining to the New York Jets. Lots of stuff to get into as well in regards to that. We'll be talking about both teams in L.A. and New York today. I definitely will get into that. And, of course, I'll touch on the Dodgers because they just look like a juggernaut right now. Lots of stuff to get into in regards to that. Some of the Hall of Fame speeches, some of the things that were said. LaDainian Tomlinson turned it out. Kurt Warner was obviously stellar. Jerry Jones did a good job with his speech as well. That's something that's worth getting into, which is something we're certain to do on this particular day over here on the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. But there's two stories that's percolating. There's two stories that's resonating in our mind's eye as well as they should. One would be involving Tom Brady, which I will get into in just a moment. The other involves Jay Cutler going to the Miami Dolphins. Now, for the Colin Kaepernick folks out there, the supporters out there, who say, all right, this is further evidence and it was absolutely positively bogus, let me say this much. If you are the Miami Dolphins, it's not that simple, ladies and gentlemen. You have a coach, and Adam Gase, who was the offensive coordinator in Chicago, who worked directly and closely with Jay Cutler a couple of years ago and helped record arguably Jay Cutler's best season as a professional quarterback in the National Football League over the past 11 seasons. Jay Cutler passed for over 3,600 yards. Jay Cutler finished with a QBR of 65. Jay Cutler was absolutely relatively decent. That much couldn't be argued. So with Gase being the head coach of Miami now, with Jay Cutler having a familiarity with that offense, knowing that he could go to walkthroughs today, step on the field tomorrow and run this man's offense because he's knowledgeable of it, we have to give credit where credit is due and respect Gase's decision in terms of his preference to want Jay Cutler in there. You can look at it that way. If you're Stephen Ross, the owner for the Miami Dolphins, you can also look at the fact that Colin Kaepernick, regardless of his stance in regards to the national anthem, kneeling during the national anthem and what have you, that's not Ross's problem in Miami. His problem in Miami is that Fidel Castro T-shirt that Colin Kaepernick wore last season. Fidel Castro, for those of you living under a rock, former dictator of Cuba. Considered a murderer, a torturer by a lot of Cubans. According to Cubans I've spoken to, he's their version of Adolf Hitler. That's how they feel about him. And Colin Kaepernick, before a game in Miami against the Dolphins, when he was quarterbacking for the 49ers, showed up wearing a Fidel Castro T-shirt, to the point that a reporter covering the team went through a back and forth with Colin Kaepernick because that particular reporter had family members who suffered under the regime of Fidel Castro. You're Stephen Ross, you have to consider that. You might be able to ignore it eventually. You might be able to usurp, just shove that aside and say, I'm the boss, I'm the owner, this is what we're going to do. And there are an abundance of folks in the minority communities who will come to your support. But the Cuban population in Miami is at 34%, according to my colleague Dan Lebatard. And the reality is that when you look at it from that perspective, you Stephen Rush, you got to consider that. You got to ask yourself, is Colin Kaepernick worth that? Not to mention the fact that if he's a backup, they're going to be talking about him being a backup. So what else you going to talk about? Because he won't be playing, at least initially. So if he's not playing and he's a backup, what else is there to talk to him about? It would be about his protest, which included wearing a Fidel Castro T-shirt or a T-shirt emblazoned with Fidel Castro's imagery on it. So that's a problem. And if you're the Miami Dolphins, may not have been worth it to you. Here's my thing. Jay Cutler, really? See, this is where stuff just stinks to the high heavens. 11 years, 1 playoff berth, 8 times, 8 seasons, the man was 500 or worse. And you're coaxing him into accepting $10 million? With incentives attached to the contract that could push it up to $13 million for Jay Cutler? In what world does this man deserve that? I mean, what a travesty. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I consider Jay Cutler to be the worst quarterback in football. And it has very little to do with his talents. I know he can fling that football. I know he's tremendously athletic. I know he's got toughness considering the multitude of offensive coordinators, the suspect offensive lines protecting him, et cetera, et cetera. I get all of that. But the reason why I consider him the worst is because of the intangibles I was taught. Came with the position. Leadership. Galvanizing the troops. Inspirational play, etc. When the hell has that been associated with Jay Cutler? Miami wasn't going to do much with Ryan Tannehill as far as I'm concerned, and they damn sure ain't going to do much with Jay Cutler. Despite the fact that Kenny Stills can ball, and Jarvis Landry's a star, and Jay Ajayi is big time. You got Jay Cutler. Good luck. Good luck. 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. The other thing I wanted to get into was Tom Brady. 5-time champion. Greatest quarterback of the modern day era in a lot of people's eyes. Surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. The face of the National Football League at this particular moment in time. He said something the other day when asked about what his wife revealed, how he had been suffering from concussions practically every year. A reporter asked Tom Brady about that. Tom Brady, by the way, who was never listed on a concussion protocol list by the New England Patriots last season. They asked that same Tom Brady a response to what his wife had to say or his feelings overall on concussions. Listen to what the 5-time champion had to say.
I don't want to get into, things that happened in my past, certainly medical history and so forth. I really don't think that's anybody's business. So, what happened last year, and, I'm focused on this year and improving and working on things I need to get better at.
You heard Tom Brady. It's none of anybody's business. Nobody's business. That's his response. Well, one of the preeminent voices in the history of ESPN, the great Bob Lee, had this as a response Sunday morning.
With enhanced NFL protocols now in place to diagnose and treat brain trauma, that the league's greatest ever quarterback may have had concussions despite never being listed as such on an injury report, that is news. Tom Brady just turned 40. He says this is all none of our business. And Tom, I sincerely and honestly hope you can say that as you celebrate many healthy birthdays in the years ahead.
That was the great Bob Lee, basically saying the hell it isn't major news. The hell it isn't none of anybody's business. And Bob Lee would have reason to say that. In case you missed the study, Boston University study finds CTE in 110 of 111 brains of former NFL players. A Dr. Ann McKee examined the brains of 202 deceased football players and found that 110 of the 111 brains of former NFL players had chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is CTE. The results were published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. The brains were donated by families of former NFL players who showed signs of the disease. The study was not conducted on a set of random former NFL players, and Dr. McKee notes tremendous selection bias in the samples. The study went on to show that high school players in the study had mild cases, while college and professionals had more severe cases. CTE was found in 177 of the 202 brains. And the disease can cause impaired judgment, aggression, memory loss, and depression. CTE can only be diagnosed post-mortem. The study examined players as young as 23 years of age and as old as 89. The brains were also from all player positions, including 44 linemen, 10 linebackers, 17 defensive backs, and 7 quarterbacks. That's why Bob Lee said what he said. That's why Tom Brady and what he had to say was nothing short of irresponsible. And if this were anybody else, what would we be saying to them? Tom Brady could sit up there and talk about it's none of anybody's business. He's wrong. Asking him about his wife and family, that's none of their business. That's none of anybody's business. Asking him about his personal relationship and his personal life, that's none of his business. But if the NFL says that you're supposed to list players suffering from these issues, and they didn't do so, we need to be looking at the New England Patriots. If what Gisele Bündchen, Tom Brady's wife, had to say was absolutely correct. Got to look at the New England Patriots in that regard. But more importantly, if you're Tom Brady, the face of the NFL, the statesman for the NFL by and large, I can understand you not wanting to reveal anything. I can understand you saying, I'm not going to touch on that right now. I'm moving forward. I need to play football. But to sit up there and say it's none of anybody's business, well, if it's none of anybody's business, why do you have an abundance of retired players and even some former players come into the defense of retired players in pursuit of exorbitant dollars from the coffers of the National Football League because of their role, purportedly, supposedly, in disguising concussions and the potential effects of CTE? It's a legitimate question. And you would think that somebody as star-studded as Tom Brady would be thinking about something other than just himself or his team. This is an issue that transcends both, one would think. Evidently, he doesn't feel that way. 866-729-ESPN is the number to call up. That's 866-729-3776. By the way, I know a lot of you had already gotten a Zebra. And are you getting happy Z's as a result? By the way, you're welcome. As for the rest of you, what's the holdup? There are too many of you snoring and being a nuisance to everyone around you. I need you to stop procrastinating and deal with this now and get a Zebra, please. Why do I know there are millions still snoring? Because I used to be one of you. You know I always keep it real with my listeners. I snored loud, very loud, and perpetually. It was a disaster, for crying out loud. But then I got committed to stopping my snoring. And I tried the Zebra, and guess what? It's worked. It's still working because I'm still using it practically every night. And here's the way you can, too. Go to their website, Zyppah, ZYPPAH.com. They know you click through all the 5-star testimonials and watch the video proving it works. That's what they're advising you to do. They also know that you actually went through the process of putting a Zebra in your shopping cart. Now finish the process and get a Zebra already. Listen, people, your snoring is not going to stop until you get a Zebra. I don't care what it costs. Sleep is priceless. You would know this if you got a Zebra. That's why I'm telling you to go get it. Stop procrastinating. Go to Zyppah.com. That's ZYPPAH.com. Remember, Zyppah is Happy Z, spelled backwards. Your phone calls and more in a minute with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Only thing I want to say about Tom Brady is that it's just selfish. Those kind of "it's none of your business" answers are totally understandable. If I'm asking you about your personal life, it's not personal. If it pertains to you being on a football field, there is nothing about a concussion issue that's personal in this day and age when it comes to the National Football League. That's just a fact. And it really, really begs questions as to what the New England Patriots were doing, because he was never listed on the injury reports. All he had to do was say, "I don't know what you're talking about. I was healthy all last year." But to sit up there and say, I honestly don't think it's anybody's business, that's insane. If I'm the NFL, I'm like, you see what we're talking about? Y'all keep blaming us. Look at these players. Why do we have to give up all of this dough? They clearly want to play. That's the way to look at it. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Jeff in Brooklyn, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Jeff? Go ahead.
Hi, Stephen A. How's it going?
I'm all right. Go ahead, buddy.
I had a question in regards to the Jay Cutler signing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask, because you said that he had a mildly decent season when he had his previous coach.
That's what they say. I mean, if that's what they want to do, go ahead.
Within 15 games, he went 6-9.
That's what they said. They're talking about his numbers. They're not talking about his record, sir. They're talking about the 3,600 plus yards that he threw for and the 65 QBR. I'm tempted to side with you, but I'm just telling you what they're saying.
Okay, I understand. So let me ask you a personal question. Do you think he's better than Colin?
No. I think that Colin Kaepernick is a better athlete. I think that Jay Cutler is a better pure passer, but I think the intangibles are to Kaepernick's advantage, not to mention the fact that Colin Kaepernick doesn't alienate teammates the way that Jay Cutler has. Jay Cutler is leaderless. Guys who have played with him don't speak highly about him.
Wow.
That's just the truth. Question. Hurry up. Go ahead.
Do you think Melo's going to come back?
I know he does not want to. I know that he's made it clear to the Knicks that he wants out. I'm even hearing that, you know what, he might not even show up in training camp. It remains to be seen. I'm not sure. I reached out, haven't heard back from him, but who knows what's going to happen right now. But I do believe that he's not going to go down quietly. He's not going to settle for remaining with the New York Knicks quietly. Carmelo Anthony wants out. He does not want to be in New York any longer playing for the New York Knicks. He wants out. He wants to go to Houston. That much I do know. That's all I can tell you right now. Appreciate the call. Let's go to Alan in Long Island. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Al?
Hey, Steve. A long-time listener of your show. I support you 100%. But I just have one small criticism about the Kaepernick whole incident. If you just allow me to be very brief. I'm a long-time voter. I've been voting since 18. I'm older than you. But it hurts me when you continue to say that he's a flaming hypocrite because of his whole kneeling down and not saying he was going to vote. Question being, I was very upset with the last elections, but shortly after the election was over, a calmer peace came over me when the other party won. Because now if it wasn't for us, the people lack of voting, coming out to vote, so on and so forth, we would never have known all the things that we have found out in the last 6 months of the party that's in play right now. So opposed
like
to
what? What things have we found out?
Oh, how malicious the other party can be, how connected they are with the foreign countries, or all the.
That's not true. You're wrong. You're wrong. We've always known. The progressive side, the leftists, they've always known that. They've always explained that. The differences between the two sides and the two parties. There's nothing new. For better or worse, there's nothing new that we've learned. That is not true. It's not true that we suddenly found out things we didn't know about one party or the other. It's politics, and we consistently lament how bad both sides can be in their respective ways. There's no secrets there. Zero.
Country has been exposed in the last 6 months like it has never been exposed
That's
before.
not true. That's not true. That's factually incorrect. That's factually incorrect. My man Joe Madison on Urban View, Sirius XM, Channel 126. Every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Even once Trump was elected, he said, ladies and gentlemen, we've been here before. This is not new. The things that you could say today, we might have seen some things we've never seen before from a particular candidate or a particular president, but the trials and tribulations, the challenges that we face are not new. Are not new at all. So I disagree with you on that, but I appreciate the call.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here at ESPN Radio, 866-729. ESPN is always the number to call up. That's 866-729-3776. Hoping to have him on in the next couple of minutes, but until he calls in, let's go to Tony. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Tony. What's up?
Hey, Steve. Thanks for taking my call. I just had a quick point about Colin Kaepernick. Now, I'm a military veteran, and I actually understood the reason why he knelt and his cause and stuff like that. And I think the thing that I get into arguments about people the most is that they're ignorant on the whole situation as far as, I fought for my country so that we could have these freedoms and the rights to do stuff like that. So I don't understand how some people can sit there and be like, well, he has to kneel, he has to do this, and so on and so forth.
Well, you understand exactly what it is, Tony. It's hypocritical Americans that exist in this nation. On one hand, we'll applaud our First Amendment rights, our constitutional rights to free speech and things of that nature, particularly the right to protest, etc. But on the same breath, we want you to pay a price for it. And so their mentality is that that's constitutional. Like, he doesn't have to go to jail or anything like that. But that doesn't mean we have to like it. We have to accept it. We have to embrace it. That's their mentality, and that's why they think the way they think, and they think it's justified.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You hit it right on the head. And then just one last thing. I've been every time the spot gets opened up and Kaepernick has the potential to go to a team, and then he gets passed up. It infuriates me, but I can actually see it. And you touched on it a little bit. I can see why. Stephen Ross and the Miami Dolphins has their hesitancy because of the huge Cuban demographic that there is there. But Jay Cutler.
You got to be kidding me. No. 11 years, 8 times, 8 of 500 record or worse, only one playoff appearance, the most leaderless quarterback we've seen in the modern era.
Right.
Doesn't have a leadership bone in his body.
Yeah, exactly. And I get the arm talent that everyone throws out, arm talent. But okay, if he was so talented with his arm, then how come he hasn't been more successful? And then who's to say that he can even be, I know I'm just throwing it out there, but who say that he could even beat out Matt Moore on the team?
Well, they brought him in there, and Gase clearly believes in them because you brought him in because you don't have that much faith in the backup, which is Matt Moore. And when you got Stills and Landry and Ajayi and those boys, you got to give yourself the best chance to win. And if you're Gase, the man played for you, and he had one of his better seasons with you, so you're going to have a level of confidence in him, particularly when you're just 2 years removed from having that season. But, Tony, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Yemi, you're live with Stephen A. real quick. Go ahead, Yemi.
Hey, Stephen, I got 2 questions for you. How bad do you think the Bears are going to be this year, and how big of a miss was it not taking Deshaun Watson?
I think it was a big Mitch. I don't understand how Trubisky, of all people, ends up being the number 2 overall pick. That really, really rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't comprehend it. I don't understand it. I don't get it at all. It was just a turnoff for me. They drafted this kid, Shaheen, out of Ashland. I don't know where the hell that is. And, of course, they had Eddie Jackson in the 4th round. He's a free safety out of Alabama. So you want to believe that they're going to take a step in the right direction. I'm just looking at some of the things right now. I'm looking at a guy, just when you look at some of their individual stats, Matt Barkley was your leading quarterback in terms of yardage, 1,611 yards. He had 8 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. You had Brian Hoyer in there. Okay, you had Jay Cutler, of course. I just wonder where you go from here. Justin Howard balled. He averaged more than 5 yards a carry, rushed for over 1,300 yards. You've got some stuff there, but who are your receivers? I mean, I'm just wondering right now. Alshon Jeffrey's in Philadelphia right now. Who do you have? I just look at this team, and I got some serious questions about what the Bears going to do. I think they have last place written all over them. You got this kid, Mike Glennon, who's supposed to be a successor. I don't know whether that's going to work out. Trubisky eventually is going to be in there. I just don't see. I just don't see it. Marcus Wheaton and Kendall Wright. These are your primary receivers. Cam Meredith, undrafted in 2015. I know he had a good year in 2016 with 888 yards receiving, but I'm just saying, I just don't see it, man. I see it, and then I'm not the biggest fan in the world of John Fox. I think he's old school. I think he's beyond his time. I think he's past his time, and he needs to go. So I think that the Bears might win about 6 games, 5 to 6 games, and I see last place written all over you.
Okay. Hey, Stephen A. Smith, one more question. Hey, I got a question for you, like personal question. I'm a grad student at DePaul University in Chicago doing sports journalism. You got any quick advice for me?
Not on the air, bro. I got listeners. I got millions of listeners. Not on the air. Talk to my producer, and I'll get in touch with you. I got to run.
Sounds good.
Appreciate the call. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. More of your calls. And hopefully John Bones Jones in a minute. It's Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Couple of things before I get back to the calls. Our heartfelt condolences on behalf of my staff, everybody associated with the Stephen A. Smith Show, and, of course, the ESPN family, out to the family of Don Baylor, passed away at the age of 68. Longtime manager in the major leagues, player as well as a manager. Darren Dalton, all-star catcher for the Philadelphia Phillies and leader of their 1993 National League Championship team. He passed away, died of cancer at the age of 55 as well. So we wanted to make sure we extended our heartfelt condolences out to all of those folks. New York Yankees still 3 games back from the Boston Red Sox. Severino flat out balled yesterday. He looked sensational. Throwing 100 miles an hour. Gave up 2 hits, 8-1 victory. Struck out 9 over 6.2 innings. Yankees won 8-1 over the Indians at Progressive Field in Cleveland. Over his last 5 starts, he's 9-4 with a 2.41 ERA. Has allowed just 3 earned runs over 32.2 innings with 38 strikeouts for a 4-0 record and a 0.83 ERA. That's in the span of his last 5 starts. Got 2 different sliders. Got a changeup throwing 100 miles an hour consistently. Only 23 years of age. Schooled by the great former pitcher Pedro Martinez. And by the way, this is the same Severino that was 0-8 with an 8.50 ERA in 11 starts last year. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but Pedro Martinez would be hired as a pitching coach for me right away. I mean, this dude. I mean, whatever the hell he's done with this kid, it's something else. Story is still the Dodgers, though. Right now, you can make the argument Severino's the best young pitcher in New York. You're talking about a Met squad with Syndergaard and DeGrom and Matz and all of these boys. And nobody's paying attention to the Mets because they're so god-awful, 49-60 this year, and they're just not getting it done. This kid, Matz, 0-4 with an 11.03 ERA in his last 6 starts. Jesus. I mean, why don't you just go home? I mean, I can do that. 0-4 with an 11 or the ERA over 11. I can do that. I mean, Lord. And, of course, the story of the Major League Baseball season are these Dodgers, 79-32, 47 games over 500. That's just sensational. Here's the catastrophe. If you go through all of that during the regular season and then turn around and lose. I mean, the Dodgers absolutely positively have to get to the World Series. I'm talking about, of course, you want them to win it, but you got to get there. You 40-plus games over 500 and you don't even get to the World Series, that's a nightmarish ending to a season like that. That's beyond disappointing. And you're winning without Kershaw. Back to the phones we go, 866-729-ESPN. Let's go to Rock. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Rock? Good afternoon.
What's going on, my brother? How you doing this evening,
all right.
man?
Thank you for calling. What's going on?
Man, I just want to tell you the love doctor done got me hitched, man.
You getting married?
Yeah, I'm getting married, man. March 17th. Thanks to you, man.
Congratulations. Why is it thanks to me? What did I do?
because you steered everything right back in the right spot. Then taking a note out the Tender Love book, and played some music for it, man, and said what I had to say. Everything went perfect, man.
Listen, I'm not telling you, I'm not talking about myself because obviously I'm not married. You see what I'm saying? But there's the people out there like yourself and others. You got that special someone, and it ain't just about the one you with. It's about the one you can't live without. And when you know definitively, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that is how you feel about a woman, you got to have the courage to step up and go that extra mile. Now, if you got doubts, then that's different. You got to try to erase those doubts before you do those things. But if you don't have those doubts, you got to have courage. That's when you got to man up. And you manned up, Rock, and that's why you a better man than most. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, man. But what I want to do is, man, I want to hear I have to hear your rant. When I woke up this morning, man, after seeing that Jay Cutler is stealing more money again, man, I just had to call in. I just had to hear you rant on that.
Listen, man, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. 11 years, 8 times. 8 of those years he was 500 or worse. He's only been in the playoff 1 time in 11 years, and that was when he was pedaling on a bicycle instead of backpedaling in the pocket of an NFC Championship game. He lacks inspiration. He doesn't seem to care. He just has this ambiance about him that says, I'm fine. Life is cool. I don't know about the rest of y'all. Obviously he's got a beautiful wife and family, so he's living larger than most. And I just don't understand how somebody could try to coax him out of retirement, successful at it, giving him $10 million plus incentives that could push it to $13 million. I don't know what the hell he's done to earn such money, but if Don King is going to say only in America, damn it, that's what I got to flow with. Only in America.
Yeah.
All right.
But maybe he might do a Marlboro commercial or a beer commercial for him.
Maybe so. The way he was looking all fat and nasty when the wife was taking the pictures of him, maybe that's exactly what he's been doing, drinking a bunch of brews. I don't know. Good luck to Miami, though. We'll see what you're getting. I got to run, Rock. I appreciate the call and congratulations, buddy. Let's go to Mustafa real quick. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Sports and politics, they always should be different from one another. But in this Kaepernick situation, they're going hand in hand. It has become abundantly clear that Kaepernick is being blackballed. All the 32 owners are hesitant in signing him. And anyone who says otherwise are rejecting the truth blindly, just like Jason Garrett was in the press conference when he was talking about the Lucky Whitehead kid. So we're looking at this situation here. I understand from an owner's perspective, you have to appease the public in a certain extent, but it can't go this far. When you have individuals who are not qualified getting the job over people who are, there is a problem. It's sending the wrong message. And this is something that it's been going on for a long time, I know, but it's completely wrong. It's completely unethical. But I understand why the people don't want Colin Kaepernick, but he should not be getting destroyed like this. I mean, it's just
he's being ostracized. His girlfriend with some of those tweets haven't helped. When you sit there and depict Ray Lewis and Steve Bisciotti in that light, knowing they were considering bringing you on board, that didn't help your cause. If you're Colin Kaepernick wearing a Fidel Castro T-shirt for a team that you ultimately was going to try to play for, that didn't help your cause. So it's not just the kneeling of the national anthem, it's other things as well. And then if we're going to talk about the business of the National Football League, let's be clear, this is not the NBA. You heard Mark Cuban speak about how Colin Kaepernick would be embraced, not ostracized by the NBA. He's absolutely right. But that has something to do with the fact that the NBA is a global brand. So it's not just the support of the minority community that they rely upon, but also a global audience, which is obviously going to side with Kaepernick. But here in America, you have a large segment of the white populace that look at him and say the nerve, the unmitigated gall of him, and that's how they approach it, and that's what he has to deal with. Mustafa, I got to go. I appreciate the call, buddy. Thank you so much. That's the reality. That's the reality of the situation. I think Colin Kaepernick is getting screwed over big time, no doubt. But I'm not surprised. And it's going to take folks standing up and speaking on his behalf and making things uncomfortable for the NFL in order for things to change. Rapper J. Cole probably took a step in that direction. Others will need to follow. Hour number 2 up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it. I'm Jody Avirgan. Have you heard of Blue Apron? Well, now you have. Blue Apron's mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. The country's #1 fresh ingredient and recipe service, fresh, high-quality ingredients make the difference, so it's important to know where your food comes from. Plus, it's affordable, easy, and full of surprises. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals for free with free shipping. You will love how good it tastes and feels to create home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. Go to blueapron.com/30 for 30.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Here with you for the next hour over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up, as always, is 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. We'll get back to the phones in just a little while. Lots of stuff to get into today. Start off the show talking about Tom Brady, talking about Jay Cutler, Colin Kaepernick. Those storylines ain't going anywhere. A couple of NFL stories I wanted to get to, by the way. Number 1 is the Jets quarterback situation. So you got Josh McCown, Christian Hackenberg, and Bryce Petty. Bryce Petty's really on the outside looking in. Christian Hackenberg is with the second unit. Manish Mehta for the New York Daily News wrote a column today basically talking about how this quarterback competition is an absolute farce. McCown has worked exclusively with the first-string guys, with the starters, through the first 7 practices, while Hackenberg has taken second-team reps. So that's not really a quarterback competition. I do believe it's a travesty that the New York Jets don't have a definitive number 1, or that they're not announcing number 1. This is obviously a journey. We got to find out what Hackenberg is worth, what he can deliver, what he can bring to the table. McCown is 38 years old. 13 more years of experience than Hackenberg. Hackenberg is a dude that, what is he? He's 6'4", 228. Indecisive in the pocket. Takes too many sacks. Even though in 11-on-11 team drills, according to Manish Mehta, he hasn't thrown an interception. The point is he seems hesitant and reluctant in the pocket. I got to admit, I expected more from Bryce Petty. I really, really did. I expected him coming out of Bill. I thought he was going to do some damage. I didn't think that he was going to be so quiet. Apparently not nearly as productive as I thought he was going to be. That's very unfortunate. I'll be the first to admit that. The other thing that was of interest in me is watching these teams, because, I don't expect the Jets to have much of an offense. It's going to be interesting to see what the Giants are going to do, because you got Brandon Marshall, Sterling Shepard, hopefully that he'll be healthy and ready to go, particularly for the season opener, at least a few weeks after. But with Odell Beckham Jr. and Brandon Marshall in the lineup, and Brandon Marshall not needing to be a number 1, I think that's going to bode well for the New York Giants. I think Brandon Marshall could be your slot receiver. I think he could be your number 2 receiver. I think he could be your tight end because he's big enough. I think all of those things work well for Brandon Marshall, and that's something that you can't ignore. The problem I have with the New York Giants is, where's your running game? And by the way, where's your offensive line to protect Eli Manning, who's as stationary as they come? I know he's been able to win 2 Super Bowls in spite of all of that, but he's not getting any younger. And what are you going to do to protect them? The defense improved tremendously last year. I expect that to continue. I think the Giants will be fine. The question is, what are they going to be able to do with that? You got one good team and one sorry team. I'm not disrespecting the Jets, but the personnel that you have in place, it just doesn't seem impressive. I don't understand how the Jets are going to win more than 3 games. And I'm just being nice about it, to be quite honest with you, because I don't even know if anybody can say definitively what they're going to do. Then you go out to L.A. I expect the same with the Rams, because Jared Goff it's too young, didn't have that much experience. I don't expect them to be that great. And then you got Aaron Donald, who they don't want to take care of. You got that problem. And just wasting away the years of Tavon Austin. I don't understand it. So you got all of these problems there. But the other team in Los Angeles, the Chargers, I don't know if we can sneeze at this team. Yeah, the Chargers were 5-11 while the Rams were 4-12, but the Chargers were competitive. I read that in the L.A. Times this morning. They were competitive in most of their games last year. They just suffered meltdowns in the fourth quarter. The Rams getting blown out by everybody. They got Jared Goff. You got a 14-year veteran and a 6-time Pro Bowler in Phillip Rivers, who's universally recognized as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Fresh off a throwing for 4,386 yards, 33 touchdowns last year. And even though Mike Williams out of Clemson suffered a herniated disc in his lower back in training camp, look at the other 6 guys that they have that Phillip Rivers has to throw the ball to. Keenan Allen, Tyrell Williams, Travis Benjamin, Dontrell Inman, tight ends Antonio Gates and Hunter Henry. I don't know if you noticed or not, but Keenan Allen's no joke. And neither is Antonio Gates. And everybody in between are expected to be contributors. And you got Melvin Gordon, who rushed for 997 yards and 10 touchdowns last year, but caught 41 passes for 419 yards. So guess what? He's a pass-catching threat out of the backfield. Ken Wisenhunt, familiarity, that can't be ignored. Anthony Lynn is your new coach. What did he do? One of the first things he did was retain Ken Wisenhunt, who spent 8 years in Arizona as a head coach, and Tennessee, and 4 as an offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh and San Diego. And head coach Anthony Lynn, the new coach, said, quote, I thought it was very important. Reading from the LA Times, I thought it was very important because you don't want Phillip at this point in his career learning a new system. When you look at the most successful quarterbacks in the league, they're not playing for different coordinators every year. They're in the same systems. I want to win now so you can put all that other stuff aside and make this thing work. This is the new coach for the Chargers, who averaged 25.6 points per game last year, were 8th in passing and 14th in total offense. It's not like he's playing with an empty chamber. Actually, listening to him makes me feel a little sorry for Jay Cutler because Lord knows he had to play for a bevy of coaches and offensive coordinators throughout his career. But maybe, just maybe, it was because he was getting them fired or making them want to quit. Just a thought. Just a thought. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. Just stuff that I wanted to get into. Thought it was necessary. We'll get into something about LeBron a little bit later on in the show as well, but for now, I'll get back to the phones. Bill in Queens, talk to me. What's up?
Good afternoon, Steve. Thanks for taking my call. We spoke last week about the Kaepernick thing.
Yes, sir.
And, you definitely enlightened a little bit. But I guess where I get lost is everybody says Colin Kaepernick has the freedom to kneel, free of criticism and ridicule. And he has that right, just like all of us have the right to make decisions. Why shouldn't that same courtesy be extended to the owners?
Well, it is. Hold on, whoa. It is being extended to the owners. Just because you're expressing disagreement with their decision doesn't mean the courtesy isn't being extended. It means you disagree. It's not like you're asking. It's not like you're asking for them to be stripped of ownership or to throw them in jail. And more importantly than that, what you're pointing to is the fact that people in power need to respect the power that's been bestowed upon American citizens. Okay, so if you're an owner and you have the power to hire and fire and things of that nature, right? But you want to bloviate about American ideals and talk about free speech and freedom of the press and all of this other stuff. How do you then turn around and conduct yourself in a fashion that wants to punish or install ramifications for those very rights that you extol?
Right, but we all can't say that that's fact. That's speculation.
That's true.
If you want to say Colin Kaepernick's numbers are better than Jay Cutler, and I don't really understand why they made that decision, that's one conversation. But if you're saying, hey, they didn't pick Kaepernick because of his stance, that's speculation.
Well, wait a minute. You're right, but I didn't say that. I didn't say that about. I didn't say that about Colin Kaepernick in Miami. I think you could say that. But understand why. A lot of them are looking at the other individuals that have quarterbacks. See, Miami's a bad example. Because in Miami, it's not just Kaepernick's kneeling for the national anthem. It's also him wearing that Fidel Castro T-shirt. Absolutely. And 34% of the population in Miami is of Cuban descent. So knowing their history with this former dictator, the fact that he would wear that T-shirt in support of Fidel Castro and didn't seem to have all his bearings under it when an inquisition took place about it, when he was interrogated about it, was a very, very bad look for Colin Kaepernick. So in Miami, it may be justified. But what about in Los Angeles where some dude named Dan Orlovsky is the reserve? How about with the New York Jets? How about with the New York Jets where you've got Josh McCown, Christian Hackenberg, and Bryce Petty? How about that?
Understood.
So what I'm saying to you is this. That doesn't qualify. I understand that it's not definitive, but that doesn't qualify as some semblance of fact as opposed to speculation in your eyes?
No, because I'm not in 32 owners' heads. No.
Don't be disingenuous. I'm asking you a direct question. I'm saying to you, looking at how horrid the Jets' quarterback situation is, that doesn't qualify as some semblance of fact that he's being, ostracized to some degree. Because if you need a quarterback, and if anybody needs a quarterback, it's the Jets, how would you justify them not picking a Colin Kaepernick in New York?
Well, in my opinion, they have a mindset. They're going with their plan. And
Bill, you're being disingenuous. I understand that you can come up with a rationale, and I respect that. But I'm saying to you, you're being disingenuous. Come on now. If the New York Jets in their quarterback situation, you're trying to tell me if you're looking for talent, you're going to ignore Colin Kaepernick when you have what you have available to you if you're the New York Jets? You're going to sit there with a straight face and try to act like his stance doesn't have anything to do with that?
What's the cost of him? I don't know. Financially, I guess.
All right, I can't have a conversation with you because you're not being real. Call me back when you're willing to be real and authentic. You're not being real, Bill. You're not being real. You defend it. Say, you know what, the hell with it. I wouldn't want him either. I respect that. But to act like, you need qualifiers and we got to find out what's their cap situation, what's this, what's that, whatever the case may be. Excuse me, you might be able to get him on the cheap. You didn't even consider it. Because you got Josh McCown, Christian Hackenberg, and Bryce Petty? Stop, Bill. You're not being real. You're not being authentic. And on this show, the Stephen A. Smith Show, I don't tolerate phonies. I'm not saying you're a phony. I'm saying your argument on this particular day was reek with phoniness. I can't accept that. Not on this show. More of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shapes.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm chilling at home this weekend, and you see news circulating about how LeBron James is on Instagram, and it shows, I went and looked at the video. It's my job, and you see him playing the video, Meek Mill. I was playing the song, rather, by Meek Mill. I won't lose or I can't lose, whatever it is. I don't remember exactly what it is. I think that's what it is. And, and he's talking about that in preparation for next season and beyond, I guess. And all I can think about is you lost 5 finals. What do you mean you can't lose? Yeah, you can. You have. Right now, you're the runner-up. So I that's just what came to my mind. I mean, please don't get me wrong. I know he's one of the greatest in the world. I get it. But the flip side to it is that, you would think that if you lost, you'd just disappear. Go away quietly and just come back on a mission. I'm going to wreak havoc. I'm going to wreck shop. I'm going to destroy any and all in my path. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely, positively nothing wrong with that. But it's like, when the Golden State lost last year, I didn't hear a word from them. They were just waiting for this season. I mean, we saw that they got KD, and KD made noise by deciding to go there, but you didn't hear much from the Golden State Warriors. LeBron loses, and 3 days later, he's making videos on the day that they're having their parade. It's like, yo, you lost, bro. I know brand building and all of that other stuff. I mean, he's already a damn near billionaire. He's the real deal. I got it. But in the same breath, it's like, come on now. I mean, you lost. And everybody talk about Kyrie like, he chopped liver. I'm arguing with my man Max Kellerman today on First Take on ESPN, as we are every weekday morning. And Max Kellerman, I know that Kyrie's not LeBron. I know he's not better than LeBron. I know he could never be the player that LeBron is. But it's one thing to be second fiddle. It's another thing to be treated like a stepchild. I said, hell, even Scottie Pippen wasn't no stepchild. And when Max Kellerman refuted that, I want to call ESPN security and have him removed. I want to call the bosses and have him banned from talking about the sport of basketball. Scottie Pippen? A stepchild? I know he's not Michael Jordan, never was, never will be, never could. But who could? Kyrie can't beat LeBron. Who can? He's the best in the world. But to treat Kyrie like, oh, my goodness, I'm so blessed to be in your presence, as if this brother didn't average 29 during the finals or 27 in the finals the year before when they won. As if he don't close. As if you would be a champion if you didn't have him as a teammate, LeBron. Just like LeBron when they won a title without D-Wade. I mean, what is this? D-Wade ain't LeBron, never was, never will be. That brother going to the Hall of Fame, no. D-Wade? Yes, he is. One of the great players in NBA history without question. 3-time champion. What you think this is? I mean, people kill me, man. They really do. Alonzo and Cali, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, man.
Thank you for having me. But, back to that LeBron thing. I have 2 questions. But to that LeBron thing, if it wasn't for D-Wade, Ray Allen, and Kyrie, LeBron would be 0-8. Think about that.
Whoa, stop. No, I'm going to say 1-7.
1-7, okay.
I think they beat Oklahoma City. They destroyed them. After Oklahoma City won that first game, Miami came back, won 4 straight, wiped them out. But
D-Wade kept giving them that push in the fourth quarter when it was getting close.
No. What I'm saying to you is that he showed up, he handled his business. All right? Okay. And by this time, they had handled the mantle. But against the Spurs first go-round, Ray Allen saved the day with that jump shot. Okay? Against Golden State, you've got Draymond Green gets suspended for Game 5, and then Andrew Bogut and Iguodala getting hurt. So those 2, to me, would have been losses. And that's why I would have been 1-7.
Okay, well, I have 2 questions regarding the Kyrie thing. Do you have any updates on the trade market? And do you think if Minnesota offered Wiggins, you think the deal could be done? Since Kyrie, he doesn't want to commit to Phoenix.
If Minnesota offered, no, he doesn't want to commit to Phoenix. He doesn't want to be there. He wants to go to Minnesota with Jimmy Butler and Karl Anthony Towns.
Right.
Would Minnesota give up Andrew Wiggins? They should. I'm not sure Cleveland would take just that. I think they want Wiggins, and they want picks. They want picks.
Because they have about 2 first-round picks. Stephen A., if they were to get Kyrie Irving, right, I'd give him a shot to beat Golden State. Because if you were to put Kyrie against...
Goodbye. We're not having that discussion. That's just idiotic. To think that Kyrie, Jimmy Butler, and Karl Anthony Towns are going to beat the Golden State Warriors, you're not talking basketball to me. You're not allowed. As a matter of fact, make sure that you take Anthony's number and keep him off the air for the rest of the week. He's banned for stupidity. That's ridiculous. We're not doing that. Corey, you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up?
Yeah, Stephen A. How you doing?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, Stephen A. Look, man, what you just talked about, I'm there. Look, man, LeBron is 1-2 against Steph Curry. He's 1-2 against Tim Duncan. And I just heard Max on TV with you just act like Tim Duncan ain't one of the greatest players ever. Can you or somebody please find out what Max is smoking? Because the way he explains LeBron is like LeBron is 15-0. And let me just say this, Stephen A. What does LeBron do better than Kyrie? He doesn't throw better than Kyrie. He doesn't shoot better than Kyrie. He gets on the elbow. He manages games.
No. Whoa. Kyrie is no sidekick. Kyrie's big time. But Kyrie's not 6'8", 260. He's not a locomotive coming at you like that. He doesn't affect the game the way LeBron does. Kyrie's a finisher. He's a closer. He's a scoring machine. But he doesn't do all the things that LeBron does. He can't rebound and defend and pass like LeBron. He doesn't draw the attention that LeBron James draws. He's not on that level. He's big time, mad respect for him. But Kyrie is not on that level with LeBron. LeBron is a game. He's a franchise altering individual. That's who he is. Kyrie is just a scoring machine, extraordinary at what he does, but relatively miniature because due to his size and stuff like that. He just can't affect the game the way that LeBron James can.
Well, in this neck of the woods, we thought the possession buckets that Kyrie made in those games was detrimental. And when he took the team to 2007 to the finals, didn't Allen Iverson do that with a team too?
Allen Iverson did that with the team, but as the guy that covered Allen Iverson, I'm here to tell you right now, he was a scoring sensation. But the Philadelphia 76ers had rough riders, bro. I covered that team every day for 6 years as the beat writer. And I am telling you, Eric Snow, Aaron McKee, George Lynch, Tyrone Hill, Dikembe Mutombo, Theo Ratliff before him, and these brothers, man, they would get up in you. And they wreaked such havoc defensively that it helped Allen Iverson. Not only did it enable him to score and he got to freelance and do his thing because he was a miniature scoring machine, but they also hid him defensively because Allen didn't have to defend anybody. He was allowed to spy because he was too small to defend anybody straight up. Larry Brown and Billy King and Pat Croce and what they put together in terms of that roster from a defensive standpoint and a heart and guts, it's one of the most special rosters I've ever seen in that regard. Gotta go. 866-729-ESPN. More of your calls in a minute. This is Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! As we go right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's get to it. Let's go to CB in Pasadena. You're live with Stephen A. What's going on, CB? How are you?
Yeah, Stephen, 17 straight threes, Smith, FIT, fashion into.
Hey, man, I don't need all of that. I keep telling you about that. Just get to it, bro. Come on now.
Okay, right. The NFL is fantastic, and you're an inspiration to all the United States of America. Where I'm going with this, though, Stephen A., is that Kaepernick, he seems to be clearly blackballed. It's egregious, blasphemous, and unconstitutional. Oh, but the Raiders, my Raiders will take them. You know, known for taking since the great John Madden, Stephen A., the Raiders have always taken trouble players, or back then they called.
Hasn't that changed a little bit, though? Hasn't that changed a little bit?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. I mean, the Raiders are moving in a forward direction. Why would you want to distract from beast mode?
I think Kaepernick would be complimentary.
No. I don't mean complimentary on the field. I'm talking about the headlines. Why would you want the headlines of Kaepernick's arrival to replace beast mode being in Oakland? I don't know if you want to do that. I don't know if you want to mess with that.
Yeah. Well, I think the Raiders have always put themselves out on a limb. They have always been able to get some players there and some pieces, and they kind of put the past away. John Madden used to say, I don't care what you do.
My brother, CB, you're not answering my question. You're giving me rationale and reasons, and I understand and I respect it. I know there's a bunch of things we could come up with. I'm asking you a very simple question. Considering the hoopla surrounding the arrival of Beast Mode to his hometown of Oakland, playing in the silver and black, with those headlines combined with the Amari Cooper's Derek Carr's already being in uniform with Crabtree and the crew and being a potential Super Bowl contender, with the arrival of Beast Mode, why would you want to detract from that by bringing in the clear headliner that would be Colin Kaepernick for different reasons? Why would you want to do that?
Because our backup quarterbacks last year, they stunk in the playoffs. Derek Carr, I'm not really all the way sold on him. I'm happy for him. I'm a Raider fan, and I like Derek Carr, but I'm not totally sold on him, Stephen A. And so, in our backup quarterbacks, Hoeing, and my other backup quarterback, he went down before the playoffs even started. He got injured.
Good point.
So you bring You bring in a Kaepernick. He's about 6'6". I'm about 6'6", 223. Kaepernick is about probably 6'6", 240.
Right.
And just the athleticism. And when he played against Miami, I believe last year, he threw for like 300 and something yards, and he ran for about 110 yards. Had no interceptions. He had one interception, but the receiver slipped down. So he has the potential there. And Kaepernick has gone to the Super Bowl and also the NFC championship.
Okay.
So the experience should be there.
No, I mean, now listen. The biggest argument you made was the backup quarterback situation in Oakland. You're absolutely right about it. So I'm certainly not going to knock you for that. But I'm looking at Colin Kaepernick's stats here. He threw for 296 against Miami, 29 for 46, 296 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 94. That was his best game of the season last year. I'm sorry, his second best game. His first game, he threw for 398 yards in a loss to New Orleans on November 6th, 41-23, 24-39, 398 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Those were the 2 biggest games he had last year. Appreciate it, CB. Thank you so much. Let's go to Dwayne in Compton. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Dwayne? Good afternoon. How are you?
What's going on, Stephen A?
Talk to me, big bro.
Hey, a couple of things I need to holler at you about. I didn't get a chance to get on there with you on Friday when you was talking about the Aaron Rodgers comparison.
Sure. Go ahead.
One of the things I wanted to hit you about, why nobody ain't saying nothing about Steve Young. Steve Young is just as quintessential to Aaron Rodgers.
Hall of Famer, great player. You know why they don't bring up? You want me to tell you the real reason why we don't bring up Steve Young nearly as much as we should? Because obviously he was great and he's a Hall of Famer. You want me to tell you the biggest reason why?
I'm listening.
Because if you bring up Joe Montana, why bother? Because he was the guy that succeeded Joe Montana. And Joe Montana sort of derailed his career by putting it on hold because he couldn't get the job ahead of Joe Montana.
I got you. And my thing is, too, though, Steven, you mentioned about Aaron Rodgers. You were saying, well, you know, the defense was basically popcorn. You know, they couldn't hold nothing. Horrible. But I'm saying in the game of sports, what we're talking about? We're talking about points, right?
Yeah,
we are talking about points. So somewhere down the line, Green Bay did stop him, and Aaron Rodgers failed to score enough points.
Let me ask you a question. I'm gonna get you right here with this, Dwayne. I'm gonna get you right here, okay? Dwayne, other than one game, I believe it was back in 2011, the year after they won the Super Bowl, when he had a horrible playoff performance against the Giants. Can you name a game watching Aaron Rodgers where it was his fault the team lost? What?
I mean, wait.
Come on, Dwayne. I asked you for one. 1 in 6 years, Dwayne. Give it to me, bro.
But come on, Steve.
Come on, Dwayne.
When you're the best, when you're the best, and you want to fall in them Brady's and Jordan situations, you galvanize your troops. You make them better.
Whoa. Dwayne, that's not fair. Dwayne, he can't play defense for them. Dwayne,
you ain't got to play defense.
Dwayne, come on, stop it. Dwayne, he cannot play defense for them. You can't do that. You can't hold him accountable for that. I mean, them brothers couldn't play pop water. Come on, Dwayne. You saw them. Did you see what Kirk Cousins did to Green Bay's defense last year? Did you see that? They made Kirk Cousins look like Steve Young and Joe Montana combined.
You give me all of you backtracking.
I'm not.
Come on. Let's move on, Stephen. We're gonna move on from that. Now let's go back. I want to really ask you a question. When you made that, when you went on SportsCenter and all that, and you were saying that LeBron went ahead and was talking, said about, he said if Kyrie was in front of him,
I got called from a LeBron James confidant who told me that verbatim, and I said it on SportsCenter. That's what happened. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is this. Did you not make a kind of similar statement, maybe not to that aspect, but you have back in the day said something about
Kevin Durant?
About Melo?
No, never about Melo? No, you mean Kevin Durant.
No. I'm talking about Melo. When you was one time, I think you said something about Melo, and as far as New York was, and Melo said, "Why didn't you call me?"
Yep.
Okay, So my thing is this: even though LeBron, closest confidant or whatever, might have spoke that, I'm saying in that situation where things are kind of dicey between him and Kyrie, why couldn't you have picked up a phone and say, "Hey, LeBron, listen, this is a situation. I'm not saying where it came from."
I did, Dwayne.
I did. And what happened?
I did.
You go ahead and do that?
No. I called. I could not reach him, and his confidants called me back. So, you have these guys that sometimes they speak directly, sometimes they send intermediaries. Anybody that covers sports or covers anything, that happens. You can cover politics, you can cover news, you can cover sports. There are individuals. You don't always have direct access to them. They send folks.
You said you don't have direct access to LeBron.
I did not.
Okay,
I did not.
But you do, Stephen A. I know your phone Rolodex is really highly.
Yes, it is.
I know you got CP3. I know you got Melo. I know you got people who are close to LeBron that you could have hit, especially Melo.
Time out. I got to go, but I need to say this to you, Dwayne. Are you listening to me clearly?
I'm always.
I said specifically a close confidant told me that. I didn't tell you who. You don't know if one of them wasn't the one who told me. I didn't say who. Gotta go. 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. I'm not going to reveal who told me what. But if I tell you it's somebody close, it's somebody close. I have an obligation to tell you what the deal is and what the truth is. You can interpret it any way you want. But if LeBron James doesn't want somebody to have direct access to him because he wants plausible deniability, that's his prerogative and that's his right. But there are people who he allots to speak on his behalf. And we know who those people are covering this league. And so when I say this is what was said, this is what was said. And that's for other people to deal with. I'm the messenger. That's part of what we do in this business. 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Your calls to close out the show in a minute with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
The phones we go before we get on out of here for Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's go to Lamar in Cali. You're live with Stephen A. Lamar, talk to me. How are you?
How are you doing, Stephen A?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for calling. What's going on?
I just wanted to ask you, do you think that Roger Goodell is handling this situation with Kaepernick with class like
it's not a matter of class. I think he's handling it wrong. And I think the reason why I say he's handling it wrong because don't be so quick to talk about how he's not being blackballed, how teams are just looking, for the best individual for their squad or whatever. It's clearly folks trying to send a message. Richard Sherman is absolutely right. Michael Bennett alluded to it. It's inescapable. We know what we're looking at. We know what we're seeing. And that can't be ignored.
True. Because Adam Silver handled his situation in the NBA with class. We're getting rid of the Clippers owner and showed us that.
Well, he does. Well, you got to remember, you're selling individuals in the sport of basketball more so than you're selling the NBA brand. Whereas in the NFL, you're clearly selling the NBA brand more than you're selling anything else. And that's what you have to take into account and pay considerable attention to.
True. One more.
Go ahead.
Kansas City, you keep on saying Oakland is your favorite for the AFC West.
No.
Kansas City went 6-0 last year. And
I'm just not listen. Kansas City's a damn good team, particularly their defense. I'm a huge fan of Andy Reid, who I've known for many years. I just don't have that much faith in Alex Smith. That's all. I know Kansas City is no joke. I know they're not to be underestimated. I'm just not sold on Alex Smith. I just think that ultimately Alex Smith is going to come up short. Maybe you're right from the standpoint that Kansas City will show up in a regular season and Alex Smith will wait till the rest of the season, till the postseason to fold like a cheap tent. I'm just not sold on him. I'm just not. Thanks a lot. Dave in Long Island, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Dave, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Stephen A? Just want to get your thoughts quickly on Marvin Bagley heading maybe to Duke or Marvin Bagley.
I've heard about him. I've never seen him. I don't know much about him.
Complete monster. I was just, maybe your thoughts on how the Knicks can project themselves.
I just told you, my man, I've never seen him. I'm going to take a look at him when I get a chance, but I've never seen him.
him, man. Like, he's just a beast.
I got you. Have a nice day. You're not listening to me. You're talking, but you're not listening to me. Take it easy. Ed in Brooklyn, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Ed?
Hey, what's up, Stephen A? How you doing?
I'm all right. Go ahead real quick, buddy. Go ahead, my man.
Yeah, I got a trade that will keep LeBron in Cleveland and also get him by Golden State. At the trade deadline, you trade Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving for Russell Westbrook and Paul George.
I don't know if Cleveland would want to do that. And the reason why is because you've got Paul George, who's going to be a free agent. You've got Russell Westbrook, who can get out as well. They may want to stay. If you are Oklahoma City, who's to say that Kyrie is not going to leave you for a year later? Then you're having to move him, and what kind of assets that you're going to get. If you're going to lose Russell Westbrook, it needs to be for a long-term solution or a bunch of picks and a younger player or whatever the case may be. Paul George is planning on going to Los Angeles. The only hiccup would be if he can play directly with LeBron in Cleveland, which is not something he would turn down. But it's something worth considering. I just consider it highly unlikely. But I don't blame you for making that call. That's an interesting scenario. Thanks a lot. Charlie in Queens, real quick. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
What's up, Stephen A?
I'm all right. You got a minute, buddy. Go ahead.
All right. So I'm not a fan of Colin Kaepernick's stances or the sitting and kneel down, but the lunacy part is how the heck he can't get a job while Jay Cutler, the disgusting, nauseating, lazy schlub quarterback, is going to find a job. I don't know. It finds me so annoying. I know Colin Kaepernick has more talent and he has a little successful resume in the playoffs, and Cutler doesn't have anything.
Well, a little success. Colin Kaepernick went to a Super Bowl. Jay Cutler has been in 2 playoff games his entire career. Period. His postseason resume doesn't even compare to Colin Kaepernick's. It's not even in the same stratosphere. 30. Without question. Appreciate the call, Charlie. Thank you so much. We all know what's going on, but Miami is not the place, is not the example to use. Again, owner Stephen Ross has to take into account that Cuban population. Colin Kaepernick should have never wore that Fidel Castro T-shirt, but there's no way on earth that he should be without a job at this particular moment in time. It just should not happen. By the way, Tom Brady, come up with a better answer than it's none of your business when it comes to concussion issues, please. Talk to y'all in 22 hours. Peace and love.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.